You may be a child of this earth, but your soul resides in the vast power and mind of the universe. Calling on the power of the universe works because you are the essence powering it, whether you realize it or not.
For over 60 years, John Searle has tried to give to the world a new kind of energy system, one that would free mankind from the burdens of oil and fossil fuels. From his dreams as a child in pre-World War II England came an understanding of mathematics and magnetic forces that would change his life. From a childhood game of hopscotch came a new understanding of magic squares, a mathematical principle that is 5,000 years old.
4. You can take a square, if you run the numbers in normal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is uniform in. But when you total them up, each row, each column, each diagonal, you'll find they add up different. Putting numbers in random, we come up with a uniform output. Every line, every column, the two diagonals come out precisely the same.
Random numbers in squares will produce a uniform total. John Searle would soon call this the law of the squares, nature's way of achieving order from chaos. This led to Searle's revelation. From those numbers, John Searle had the exact amount of each ingredient in the rollers and rings of his generator.
Now, every one square represents a quantity of a material, and that's very important.
Extraordinarily powerful sound coming from Saturn. This is part of what they recorded. Nice, man. And this is from the front cover of the Saturn myth, with the symbolism described of these lights that went off from Saturn at certain points, with the four main ones there. And there it is symbolized on one of these ancient tablets. And in St. Peter's Square, that is a mirror of the way that Saturn symbol.
Others, like Nikola Tesla, would cling to the idea that energy was all around us, and that we could access this energy and transport it through the atmosphere without the need for meters or utility companies.
A recently discovered set of original Nikola Tesla drawings reveal a map to multiplication that contains all numbers in a simple-to-use system. The drawings were discovered at an antique shop in central Phoenix, Arizona by local artist, Abe Zucca. They are believed to have been created during the last years of Tesla's free energy lab, Wardenclyffe. The manuscript is thought to contain many solutions to unanswered questions about mathematics. The sketches were hidden in a small trunk with numerous other drawings and manuscripts ranging from handheld technological devices to free energy systems.
Albert Einstein, when he was creating the atomic bomb or writing up the theory for it to work, used Kabbalah. Came up with E equals MC squared. You got what? Five symbols that equal volumes of information. These are lies that have been perpetuated. People do not understand that the Old Testament is written in code. And I'm not talking about this bullshit Da Vinci Code crap. I'm talking about actual code as in, high-level physics. Okay? The word sin, S-I-N, comes from the word sine, S-I-N-E. If you look at that, this is a sine wave. Yeah? It's a sine wave. The straight line that you're seeing, that's called linear time. That's going from your birth to your death, okay? The wavy line, that's a sine wave, okay? That's a sine wave. Bear with me. The word sine in physics is abbreviated as sin, okay? Now, there is another wave, it's going to be in blue, that runs along the same line as time, okay? And what that is it goes like this. This one is called a cosine wave, as in cosigner. That's right where that comes from. That's a cosine because it rides the back. It's so tight to the other wave, it's called a cosine wave. Now, you see, you have red and blue, and they both are interacting with time. So, one is time, one is space. Okay? Those two together create time and space. Red and blue, which represents the planet Saturn. The time and space. So why is sin evil? Because sin is the abbreviation for sine, which represents time. And incidentally, the serpent in the garden is right here. Okay? That's the serpent. Okay? The serpent is time. Now I'm going to show you something else. Bear with me for a second. This is where your caduceus comes from. That's time and space running along a linear, that's a cosine and a sine wave, running along the vertical line, which is sine or sin. Here we have the wings. That's what your symbol is that you see, the caduceus. The single one is just a snake, which is it looks like an S. That's the serpent. Okay, so why do they say that we're sinful? They say that we're sinful, or that you're born of natural sin, because you're born into sine. You're born into sine. You're born into time. And when you're born into time, when you're born into sine, you're born into sin. Now, why does sin keeps you away from the Creator? Why? Because here, that's ruled by time, the circle, and space, the square. The Creator is timeless. There is no time where He exists. It's a loop. You go around and around and around. You have to arise above that and get to where there is no time. So when they say, oh, man's born of natural sin, you are born into the third dimension. And as the Bible says, the wages of sin is death. When you're born into the third dimension, you live in the third dimension, and as we all know, time, given enough of it, destroys everything. Okay? That's why in Revelations, the beast is Saturn, because it regulates time.
fact, systems with 2 or more stars aren't actually that uncommon. It's almost impossible to observe a binary system of stars with the naked eye, because the stars are usually very close together and appear to be shining from just a single point. In fact, more than 80% of all stars are members of multiple star systems containing 2 or more stars. The way binary systems are formed isn't completely known. We simply can't live long enough to see such an event unfold. However, the most likely way for a binary star system to form is actually during the star's birth. Stars form in giant gas clouds of dense interstellar gas, like the Omega and Eagle Nebula. Gravity starts to pull the gas inwards and collapses it into a brand new star. Typically, a large star-forming region will produce many stars of different masses, and often these stars will interact with each other to form multi-star systems.
There are no opposite directions or opposite forces, however. There are but divided sexes which exert the same force and in the same direction. The one force is compression, and the one direction is spiral. That which seems to be 2 are 1 when they are united. They could not unite if they were pursuing opposite directions, nor could they be 1 if they were opposites. One's senses are very deceptive. They convincingly make one believe the very opposite of what they manifest. This has led to some confusion on the part of many students. What is often interpreted as opposition in the term twin opposing vortices is that one pole is negative and the other positive. It is believed that vortices inwind from the north and unwind from the south, as pictured here.
There is only one force, electricity, which exerts itself in one direction, which is spiral. Both north and south poles charge inward towards each other. The south pole does not discharge. The discharge happens at the equator in the east-west pole in the direction of electric south, which is the 6 faces of the magnetic cube.
The universe is made up entirely of electric thought waves. Thought waves are nature's two-way guns, which are loaded with the energy of mind desire to give out from its centering self to all the universe.
This is an accepted ancient symbol of the sun. And people think, understandably, that it's a symbol of the sun that we know today. But is that symbol more likely to be the sun we know today, or the sun we once knew? Saturn. Saturn is the key to understanding so much. And of course we have the hexagon going round and round and round at Saturn's north pole. This is a standing wave created by sound, rings. This is at the south pole of Saturn, and it's a permanent ice storm. This is a standing wave created by sound. And these are symbols created by sound, like cymatics. And a certain frequency created this perfect 6-pointed star with the hexagon in the middle and the hexagon there. Therefore, the sound creates the frequency, creates the symbol, and in the same way, the symbol represents the sound and the frequency. The symbols are just holographic representations of vibrational waveform states. I would suggest in these symbols cases, representatives of the sound frequency coming off Saturn.